No, naughty. I don't even have
And we're
follow.
live.
Yay, we're live.
All right,
What's
quick.
up?
Stop talking about drugs and pornography.
What, the drugs? I always got drugs.
So, yeah, this is now I suddenly feel like I'm on the spot and I have to be all like intellectual and shit because my channel that this is being broadcast on, I'm usually I'm in a button-up shirt and I'm talking. I'm a lot more calm, slower speech, and yeah, this is. I'm not normally a live person, even though I'm having to do that more often on my other channel that I participate in. I work with Secular TV, and we have the Rambling Tangent. That's an entirely different version of me, and we do it live most of the
Right.
times. So yeah, going live is like, oh my God, I'm being broadcast. People could be watching. Thankfully, we have no viewers right now.
I'm sure that they'll pop up. You got a lot more peoples that you got a lot more subscribers, I think.
I think most of mine though are pity subscribers. Like, oh, this poor kid. I'll subscribe to him. He looks like a nice, harmless person, which is true. I'm mostly a nice, harmless person.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not the barbarian atheist. I remember when I first was introduced to you as the barbarian atheist. You were like this wild, gruff, blunt, speak his mind kind of guy. I was like, wow, this guy's intense. This guy is cool. And I was like, wow. And now that I've gotten to know you as Lou, I was like, you really are the barbarian atheist. It's not really an act. You've got some people where they are an act. They are a character. Like the Amazing Atheist, for example. That he is a character that he plays.
right.
And you've got some people who really are just themselves, which is nice. I would say probably most people are themselves here on YouTube. Um, but even I, like when I'm on this channel, I'm usually a lot more reserved. Most of my videos are scripted, and that was just because when I first started, I was so nervous about speaking that I made a lot of mistakes. I would constantly flub up my words. I would pause. There'd be a lot of dead air. So I scripted them, and that seemed to work out. And you'll notice my original videos, my old ones, there's a lot of jump cuts throughout them all, and that's because I was just like cut out, cut out, cut out, cut out. I made the blooper video of all the stuff that I'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
saying something, I'd just be like, fuck.
Yeah. No, I cut out a lot of shit because I don't script. That's the funny thing is I'm a really good writer. Just I should probably write more and publish stuff like op-eds or whatever because I'm actually really good at that.
Nice.
But and the irony is I've taken a public speaking class and I got a good grade in it and everything. But I'm not good at reading off of script at all because I did it a couple times and then when I'm like doing the editing, I'm just like I sound like a robot. And I can't get that robot sound out of it when I do a script, so I just more or less improv everything and then edit out dead air.
Gotcha. And I think that was a problem for me as well when I first started, was the sounding like a robot. But it got to more of, I started, I guess, just trying to put more emotion into what I was saying. And I think now that I've become more comfortable behind the camera and speaking to this little dot, that there really isn't anyone in the room and no one's actually watching me as I say it. I pretend that I am, and it's getting into that zone and just pretending that camera is actually people watching me live as I'm doing it. And
Right.
I've gotten better. So like this latest video that I did, it was actually all entirely unscripted. I just sat down and spoke what I wanted to say, which is probably why it was also a lot shorter too, because I didn't pause as much. I didn't speak as slow as I normally do. I just got the information out,
Right.
which is good.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk to people about and ask people about is raising kids secular or raising them religious. So for those who will be watching this later, and even though we have no viewers now, and probably won't
You
at
can,
all.
I can post the link actually.
What's that?
I can share the link out.
Yeah,
Or you
get some
could,
other viewpoints in here. I want to get people's opinions and ideas on how they raise their kids, either with religion or without. I'm a single dad, and have my daughter every other weekend, 2 weeks in the summer, 2 weeks in the winter, and twice a week on the weekdays. So I don't really have a lot of time to
right.
instill my values in her. And in our parenting plan, my daughter's mom is Baptist, and she gets to raise my daughter in her religion, and my daughter's allowed to participate in whatever religion I have. Now,
So,
this was, like I said, 5 years ago. We had this parenting plan. I was still a Catholic, and I was very laissez-faire about it. Didn't really care at all. So I wasn't concerned. And the mom is, I would definitely say she's a social Christian. She does it for the socializing. She likes to sing in the choir, going to like any bake sales and stuff like that. I wouldn't say that she's a hardcore rabid believer.
no, well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, but they go to church every Sunday, and on the weekends that I do have my daughter, on Sunday that she comes at 9:30, picks her up. They go to church together, and they come back at 12. So they go to church for a couple hours and come back and hang out. But so what got me thinking about this and kind of really mulling this over was coming back from Montana. I visited my family. Yeah, I had an interesting time there, and my daughter asked me a question in the car that I almost wrecked because we were on snow and ice, and I was driving. Got the four-wheel drive engaged. I'm doing 60 on ice. Just I can make it. I can make it. And she goes, "Daddy, why are you mad at God?"
That's a funny question.
I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean by this?" She goes, "Mama," and that's my mom. That's the name that she calls my mom. Mama says you're mad at God.
Oh no.
It's like, oh. It's like, well, why did Mama say that? She goes, well, because Mama says that Jesus is a nice giant, and you're just mad at God. Roger that. So apparently, so I had this conversation with my daughter where we talked about Jesus was bigger than anything, and I asked her if was he a giant, and she said yes. I said, well, is he a nice giant or a mean giant? She said he's a nice giant. I was like, okay, how do you know that? Have you met him? No. I was like, well, when you do meet him, make sure you find out that he's a nice giant because we don't like mean giants. Okay, and that's how I have conversations with my daughter. That's when she says stuff like that, I literally treat it like a fairy tale. So if she ever gets the idea that that God is real, she can look back and see that I never encouraged it. I always treat it like a fairy tale, and I talk about fairy tales and other myths and stuff exactly in the same way that I talk about Jesus and God with her. They're put on the same level. I put Transformers, My Little Pony, and unicorns on the exact same level of Jesus. They're all equal in this household. But I don't downplay Jesus at all. It's not that I ignore him. He gets as much time as Optimus Prime does. When you think about it, Optimus Prime is kind of like a robot Jesus anyways.
Yeah, pretty much. No, but that's exactly from what I've read. Is long you don't want, like you said, you don't want to censor anything. You don't want to be, oh, we don't talk about that. But as long as you're treating as what you're treated, to just be honest about what you feel about it. Like you said, as long as you're like, you know what, this is a fairy tale just like these fairy tales, and that fact alone will stick. You don't have to tell a kid this is make believe every single time. For every new fairy tale, all you got to do is be like, hey, let's read another fairy tale or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's
and
how I'm going to go forward with it too.
because yeah, I was a little more blunt with my kid, but I never set out. I never was like, okay, this is the time we're going to talk about serious stuff or anything silly like that.
Yeah.
She's always known that like if she has a question, she can always ask me. And she's asked me, when the first person in our family that she was close to died, she came to Daddy and she's like, "Tell me what's going on with what does Dad mean?" So she came to me for that, um, and it was a long. We covered religion, but it was just like a no big deal thing. Like I remember I was just driving her to school, and we were just sitting in the truck and talking, and she's like wanting to talk about religion. But yeah, I told her, I was like, no, it's just a silly story. Like you're talking about magical wizards and stuff. It's ridiculous. So that's how I treated it. But it was like, it was funny as heck because after we got done talking, I remember she leaned forward towards the front window and she's like, "Damn you, God!"
So, how old was she at the time that you had this conversation with her? Because my daughter's 5.
Oh gosh, she was in probably either 4th or 5th grade. So that wasn't probably 4th grade, which is she's 12. So that would be around 9, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
Because I figured I probably wasn't going to have an actual serious conversation with my daughter about religion or God or Jesus or all that up until she was probably about 10 years old.
Right.
I figured at that point, because like I said, right now she still thinks that Transformers are real and that Jake and the Neverland Pirates are actual people. She has really no concept of reality yet.
Right.
So I figured at 5 years old, I mean, as smart as she is, in that area, she's not exactly, on par to discuss deep philosophical thoughts.
Right.
So I guess my biggest question would be, when would be a good time to actually start having these conversations? Did your kids ever believe in Santa Claus?
Oh yeah, that was one of the things she asked. That was right along with the whole religious topic too, in that same time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think every kid is different, and
Okay.
the way I did it, I just waited for her to ask me, and the whole time for me being a parent on those younger years was just letting her know that I was a person she could trust and not afraid to talk to.
Gotcha.
And then I just let her come to me, and whenever she would ask a question, that would be the learning moment, because that's when I knew I would have her full attention because she was asking me something.
Gotcha.
But that's me, and like my family is, I have a parent and a stepmom that go to church all the time, but outside of that, our family, they'll believe, but no one's going to church or anything, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't ever worried about anybody indoctrinating her or anything. But like in your situation where it's, you got more religious people with more intolerant views or whatever.
Well,
then
I've got her mom, and they're pretty, like I said, they're social Christians. She does it for, I think, the social aspect. Like, she actually was asked to step down from the choir in one church because at the time she wasn't married, had a kid, and was dating a guy who she actually ended up marrying. But she was asked to step down from the choir because she wasn't a good example. So she ended up leaving that church and then not going to church for like 8 months.
Okay.
And until she found a new church that would allow her to sing in the choir. And her husband doesn't really go to church. I guess he's a believer, but he doesn't really care. I definitely think that she does it for the socializing, which is fine with me. I think that's extremely harmless, and I'm not really worried about people who are doing it for the social aspect.
Right. That's the majority nowadays.
And my daughter does need socialization. I mean, she goes to my landlady's daycare twice a week, but she needs kids around her own age
Oh,
that are at least similar to her, and she does get that at church. I mean, there's nothing that I can really provide for her that has large groups of kids her age.
well, like you said, the daycare. And as they grow into like getting older in school, is when they get a lot of their social stuff too.
Yeah,
But
she'll
yeah,
be starting kindergarten next year.
right. Okay. Yeah, for me, it's been a while. Like, what was that like? Now I'm worried about her friends drinking and doing drugs and crap like that,
Yeah,
which
not
I already know they do.
I've got a
I mean,
perfect plan for
but
that, though. See, and you actually might enjoy this because you seem to be a kind of person that doesn't seem to have a lot of qualms about dignity or anything like this. So this is my plan. When my
okay.
daughter hits her teenage years, anytime that she does something that I don't approve of or calls for a punishment of sorts, um, I figure the best way to actually get to her and let her know that I can make her life a living hell is to attack the one thing that teenagers love the most, and that is their reputation or how embarrassed they can get. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to go buy myself some pink tights with a tutu and body glitter and a mesh shirt with wings. And when she does something bad, I'm going to dance up and down the halls like a little tutu fairy, open up the door and be like, I'm here for Emma. It's time to go home. I'm here to pick you up. And I'm going to ruin her social life. Be like, I'm sorry. You were out late drinking at age 13, smoking, and just being a hooligan. Okay, I'm going to make you the laughingstock of your school. Or you could not do that again. Yeah.
That's always a hard one.
I figure that's the only weapon I'll have in my arsenal. I mean, what else can I do? You can't beat them. You can't lock them up. Good luck trying to ground someone at that age.
I do. Oh, if they have a social life, grounding wise. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Where'd they go?
They joined and they left. That was like a dive in and quick, see what's going on. All right, leave. Gotta get out of here.
That was a hit and run.
It was a hit and run. I think that was Mike. Hey, hold that thought. I need to blow my nose. This is gonna be awesome for all you viewers out there. You get to hear this horribleness. Oh my God, that hurt.
And I have come to annoy you, Clarky Clark.
I think I just blew some brains out my nose.
That is why I am here.
Awesome. How you doing, Mike?
I am not Mike. I am the neo-atheist.
Well, when it clicks up, it says Michael.
It also says the neo-atheist. Learn to read, you inbred hick from Washington.
I'm not originally from Washington. I'm from Montana, thank you. And we're not inbred. We fuck sheep. So, ha.
Lou, you're going to back me up on this one, aren't you, my friend?
Lou's from Washington. He's not going to back you up on this.
I'm living at my town is more redneck than where he's at actually.
Yeah.
I'm out in the boonies where they really are redneck.
So Lou, here is the true question: do you want to join secular TV?
How do I do that?
You talk to one of our co-founders, maybe the handsome, the dashing, the
Randy
operations manager. What were you saying, Clarky?
Randy.
So talk to Mike, Albany, or Randy, or actually D, or even I could talk to him after this hangout's off, Mike.
Or you could talk to me. I mean, I am here.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about raising kids.
We are talking about raising kids, and I've got to say that you seem like you're kind of I'm sorry, Clarky, but even if you actually mess with what a teenager really loves and their reputation,
yeah,
I've got to say that you're kind of wrong on that, because even if that's the case, your daughter would still have the immaculate face of yours to look at, and you are a handsome beast. I mean, there's Royce, on the epicness of beauty, there's Royce, Clarky Clark, and Albany.
We are some very good-looking people. Thank you.
Thank you. I like to think I am. It's a very nice compliment.
So how do you feel about? So you mentioned that I wouldn't be able to really. That wouldn't be really effective. What would you think would be a more effective means than of punishing a teenager? Because this is something that I do worry about. Because if she's anything like me, she's gonna be a hellion.
Well, even if she's a hellion, well, there's a few ways you can go about it. I mean, I'm not a parent. I have no expertise, but I am in the process of helping to plan a secular parenting show. So, if that gives me any expertise, and I do talk with a expert that has written the book on this subject on a weekly basis. So,
all opinions are welcome.
With that being the case, I would actually have to say that sitting them down, outlining the constraints, and basically outlining them straight on would be the best way to go. I would actually say that take the issue head on. If an issue arises to where they basically have done something that's against the rules that you have put together in your household, outline why it was against the rules, why you're looking out for their best well-being, and try to break this down and help the teenager rationalize through this situation. With that being the case, you can actually help build a skeptical mindset in the teenager themselves, and it's something going on through adolescence. This is actually a coping mechanism and a way of dealing with situations that will extend later on in life, and it will be something that they actually use later on down the road.
Seems valid.
I talk to experts. What can I say?
I just really want to go dance up and down the hallways in a pink tutu.
Yeah,
I actually would like to see Lou dance up and down in the hallways in a pink tutu.
that wouldn't surprise anybody, though.
Lou, I would actually pay to see that on pay-per-view. If I could actually see Roy, if I could actually see Royce, Clarky Clark, and D in like a modern version of the Three Musketeers, that I would be able to die a happy man.
As long as I get to play Aramis, I'm good.
By the way, once you actually meet the drunken philosopher, he looks like Hugh Laurie.
The drunken philosopher?
Yeah, he looks like Dr. House.
Nice. Is he a new guy on secular TV?
We're in peace talks.
Cool. So, what are your views then on kids being raised religious? So, my own situation where my daughter's mom is raising my daughter Christian. What are your views on that whole situation? Like, how would you go about it personally?
What goes on in her household is her household, but she has to give you the same respect when you're actually raising her in your household. And my suggestion to you, if you were actually going to try to get a skeptical mindset going, use the parenting style that I suggested and actually go in and help her deconstruct the religious perspective in your household. Because, for love it or hate it, the mother can't say anything in your household.
Yeah, and that's one of the agreements we have in the parenting plan is I've agreed to allow my daughter to be raised Christian. I said this was 5 years ago when I was a Christian myself, but she can participate in whatever religion I choose to. And so for now, what I've done is I've just taken God and Jesus and I put them on the same level of Transformers, Barbies, Bratz, Trolls, Dragons, Unicorns, or my daughter loves alicorns, which apparently is this combination between a unicorn and a Pegasus. It's got a name, and she loves it. Yeah, I'm like, all right, cool. But so I've put them all on the same level, and I talk about them all in the same manner with her, where they're all real, they're all equal.
I agree. I actually think it's a pretty good way to go about it, because you can actually, when your daughter starts asking about the Santa Claus, you can actually touch on all of that. You can basically touch on religion, Not to mention, you have to time appropriately when you actually take on the subject of religion, because if you actually do it too soon, mother comes across, well, daddy said, you're basically going to be shot down from even building a foundation. So you got to wait until adolescence. I would actually wait until 14, 15 years old. Wait until they're actually able to reason through the bullshit and let her basically do what she needs to.
Well, what age do most kids stop believing in Santa Claus?
I think it varies.
Well, see, there's a deconstruction phase. If you're actually going to use the Santa Claus route with religion, I would say that's too early. Because if you do it before the age of 14, the mother, your ex, could actually come in and sort of rock the foundation of what you're actually trying to build.
Yeah.
Wait until she's a teenager and go from there. You're going to have to put this into the route and basically make it to where it's something she comes across the answers herself. Because if your daughter comes across the answers herself, that'll actually help her in the long run, and it'll give it a more sound foundation when she's actually having to discuss this with her mother.
I think the thing is, I'm not actually trying to raise my daughter as an atheist, though, and I'm actually okay with her if she grows up to be a theist. With
yes, as
one
a secular
caveat.
Individual,
yes, as long as
back your mind, you want to actually see the best for your daughter, and for you, you've seen the best being of a secular mindset.
Yeah, well, you can be a secular mindset and be a theist or an atheist. So I'm going to promote a secular viewpoint on everything. For me, I'm okay with her being a theist. I'm okay with her growing up and deciding, you know what? I've looked at the evidence. I've looked at the arguments. I've looked at what mom has said. I've looked at what dad has said. And this is the conclusion I've come to. If she comes at it from that, I'm okay with that, and I have no problem with that, because she's at least used her reasoning, however I might disagree with it. What I don't want is her to go her entire life saying, I believe in God because mommy says there's a God, and mommy says there's a God, that's why I believe in God, and God exists because of mommy. I don't want that. I don't want her to do the same thing as, well, I don't believe in God because daddy doesn't believe in God. I don't want that at all either.
That's why you want to put the tools in her hands and let her come to the decision herself.
And that's the whole purpose of this hangout, is to try and ask people what tools I could use to do that. Because
I say use reason. I mean, not that I like to promote myself as the host of the Age of Reason, but I think that they reach the age of reason between 6 to 8 years old. You have to actually times that by 2 before you even approach the topic, so that they have some time and some ability of processing using their logistical capabilities through sifting through bullshit.
Gotcha.
Using that, let her have her time. Let them sit back and wait. Wait until the teenage years, and that's when you basically strike.
Okay, I still have to do it.
What do you think, Lou?
What's your thoughts, Lou?
I'm kind of a very I deal with things reactively, which means I don't worry about things before they happen. So as I think we're kind of talking about already, I think every kid is going to find these things important at a different time. Like there's not one model of a kid and their development, right? So I still go with the kind of wait for the kid to approach you and bring up the topic, and just be ready for whatever that topic may be. It's not necessarily religion. It could be, kids getting in a fight at school or whatever, fashion, whatever, and I let the kids ask, and I just use those as the teachable moments. But as a caveat, I do agree with you, like, if the topic does not come up and they're hitting like 13, 14, then as a parent I think you do need to step in and bring up the topic.
But see, I would have to actually add something to what you just said, Lou. That as much as I would say that's responsive and you have to be reactive to that type of situation, there are certain marks in the timeline where you actually have to interact and supersede. Not to mention, Clark is in a great position right now. His position is only going to improve with the role he has in the social networking capabilities, with the contacts he's making, with the role he plays with secular TV. He's in contact with scientists, top secular-minded individuals in the leadership positions in the community itself. If he actually needs advice on stuff like this, he knows that he doesn't have to reach out to him for that. I mean, he has people in his extended network through me, Randy, and Albany that can actually help him through these types of situations. I mean, I'm actually going to be discussing this in the next, probably in April or June, with some of the leading parents in the secular community. So,
Interesting.
I mean, imagine actually having a scientist break down evolution to your daughter when she's actually questioning, so how does creation really work?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You have those tools at your disposal, Clarky.
Yeah.
What I'm going to have for that is I've already got that at my disposal. I've got Aaron, God damn it.
I have a hard time with his name, too.
I know. I see it in my mind, and I say Aaron. It's Aaron.
A-N.
Aaron Raw, his video series that he's coming out with, where he's explaining science and all that. That's just going to be like on repeat. Like, okay.
Yeah, he basically explains abiogenesis pretty well. Goes into it pretty deeply. I've watched it once. I've talked to RN Raw about it a few times, and a few other people. So that is actually something that's good to have. But I would actually suggest live Q&As. Do a host out based Q&A once she actually does come of age, and go from there. Do this stuff in real-time scenarios. Give her those videos, but then basically do real-time sit-downs.
Yeah.
People that did those videos, and then go from there. Any questions she has, and basically treat this like you're homeschooling her on the subject.
I definitely supplement a lot of her education as it is right now, just on her own. I mean, she's 5 years old, but she's already got a third-grade reading level. At my house, there is no TV except for rewards. If you do everything that you're told and you are very well behaved, you use proper manners, and you clean your room when I tell you to, you do everything when I say the first time, then you get a reward with a movie. And if not, well, then you just don't get a movie. But at my house, I focus a lot on reading and writing. So we do lots of reading together. I read her a book, and then I have her read me a book all by herself. And we practice writing, so she can write her whole name right now. She's learning to write sentences. And again, she just turned 5 years old back in September, but she's been writing and reading since she was 2. I'm just trying to encourage that so I can keep that going, so she has that love of learning. I've got a telescope that I have. We go outside and we'll look at the moon. We'll talk about what the moon is, why it looks a certain way. So I'm definitely trying to supplement her education. And when she goes to kindergarten next year, she wasn't able to get into kindergarten early because they said as advanced as she is in reading and writing, she doesn't have the advanced comprehension. She's still at like a 4-year-old level comprehension. I was like,
Would that be the case, though, Clarky? Is this conversation? I love this topic, and I love the direction it's sort of going in. But is this a conversation you might want to have with Beasia? Because I know that she has chapters dedicated to this topic.
I'm actually extremely looking forward to the secular parenting, because there's going to be so many questions that I'm absolutely going to bombard them with. I am going to just have like a whole notebook. I'm just going to write a whole damn notebook, just be like, okay, page 1, question. And I'm like, every single day I'm going to have a new question for them, because
we have an off-air conversation coming up before the next show next weekend. Do you want to actually? I'll see if I can get you included in on the next off-air conversation.
The weekend. So this weekend.
It's not starting today. It's starting next Sunday on the 11th.
Yeah. So yes, actually, I'll have my daughter that day as well.
No, we're going to have a few off-air conversations about the topic itself, too. So, not to mention, Albany is a pretty vast knowledge base to talk to, too. I mean,
I have picked her mind, yes. I ask her questions all the time. I figure that, as many different viewpoints as I can get, the more of a knowledge base I have to choose from. That's one thing that I worry about is I don't want to be a bad father. And it scares me. That's one of my biggest fears, is actually being a bad father or a deadbeat dad.
Well, if you actually want a male perspective on it, have you thought of approaching Jeremiah Bannister?
I don't know who that is.
I'll put you guys in contact in the next few days.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the parenting advice on that. So just for background, I don't know if I don't think anybody knows actually, but I have the bulk of custody, so I'm the primary custodial parent actually. But and it's just kind of like almost down to what do you call it? What I tell people, you don't have to be a great parent. I mean, if you are, I mean, that's always the goal, is to be a great parent. But if you're a good parent, the kid will take care of the rest, right? So as long as you're there and you're not neglecting the kid, and you're doing the basics, having conversations with the kids, and then feeding them and whatnot, right? And teaching them how to be safe. If you cover the simple stuff like that, the kid will most likely take care of all the other stuff that a kid needs to worry about.
Yeah.
So don't worry about being a great parent. Just be a responsible parent, and I think everything's covered that way.
That's been one thing that's been a driving force for me, though. I've seen other friends of mine that I've grown up with that have been absolute just deadbeat dads, and I was determined not to be that. So when my daughter's mom came to me and said, "Hey, you're the father, and my fiance has left, and he's not going to be the dad. Because he was on the birth certificate as the father." She goes, "You're the dad." It's like, okay, well, first thing first, I need a DNA test to show that I'm the dad. And then you got to realize that once I start playing dad, I don't stop. Then I was the one who went out and got a lawyer. I was the one who put myself on child support, paying child support. So I made sure that my daughter had income, food, water, clothing, shelter, that at least the mom could provide that. I was the one that made sure that she had a daycare to go to, and that she was taken care of. I helped the mom out with several bills as well. That's been, I'd say, probably one of the biggest driving forces for me. Is I'm so scared of being a bad father or not there for her, that I'm trying to do as much as I can for her to make sure that her life is never wanting anything. I don't want to spoil her, and I'm very stern with my daughter, but I'm also very loving. I expect that when I tell her to do something, she does it the first time, but I also give lots of hugs. Rewards are quickly given out, and I try to be as lenient as I can with punishments. I've gotten to the point now where when she was younger, we did spank, but not within the last 2 years probably. Now it's more of we sit down, we talk about it. I explain why I'm disappointed that she did that, why this is wrong, and there is, okay, now you can't come out and play in the living room. You have to go play in your room, or I'm going to take your books away, or I'll take your toys away, or you lost a privilege. Typically, I take away privileges because I guess I'm still, even though I know that I'm doing decent right now, I'm always worried that I could be doing better. I could be doing more. That I could be like Super Dad or something. I've got a shirt actually that says Super Dad on it. It's pretty awesome. That's my biggest fear, is that somehow I'll fail as a father, and I know it's irrational. I know it is, but I can't help it.
Right. No, that's just a part of actually being a good parent, is that fear of not being the parent you should be. Is kind of, that's what makes people a good parent, when they worry about things like that. It's.
I hope
as long as you're like, oh, could have.
I hope that my worry enables me to be a better parent. I hope that it. So far, I think it has. I just hope that it continues that way. Like, I feel really bad when I forget to tell her to brush her teeth in the evening, or like the last few nights that she was here. She just went back to her mom's after vacation. Like the couple nights, I was exhausted. My back was killing me. I had a headache that hadn't gone away, and normally my daughter's bedtime is 9 o'clock. Well, she was out playing in her room, and I was puttering around the living room, just cleaning some things up. And I sat down on the couch, and I actually fell asleep on the couch at like 8:30. And normally, my daughter and I, we have a ritual where at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock she gets ready for bed, and it's quiet time. She gets her pajamas on, and she can play or read quietly. And then at 9 o'clock, I tuck her into bed, I read her a story, and I sing her a song. And that's our ritual every night. So I wake up at like, oh God, it was like 10 o'clock at night. I woke up on the couch going, oh my God, I forgot her song. And I go to her room, and she had already gotten herself in bed. She had put her nightgown on. She was all cuddled up. She had a toy, and she was sound asleep. And as inordinately proud of her as I was that she had done this all by herself, I was absolutely devastated that I had let her down and I hadn't given her her good night story and song. I felt terrible the whole night. I felt like just an abject failure as a person. Like, I let her down because she always asks for a story and a song. Even though she knows she's going to get it, she still asks for it. And I didn't give it to her that night. I felt terrible. Bad person.
Yeah, those things do happen. I've been there. Like, oh, why did I do that? Or why did I not do something I felt that I should have done?
Yeah. So that's that aspect of it. The other aspect that I have is dealing with family that's religious. That's been also on my mind. And how do you guys deal with family that's very religious?
I've actually got an interesting story for this one, Clarky,
Okay.
that I haven't actually shared with you as of yet. Let me actually act like the Liberace of YouTube right now. And yeah, I actually have an uncle that's the leader of the Tea Party movement in Elmira Heights, New York. I'm talking, this guy is such a teabagger, he basically disowned me when he found out I was a secular atheist, secular activist. He was one of the people that went to Glenn Beck's Million Man March in D.C.
Was that the one only like 40, 50 people showed up?
Yes.
Oh.
He was one of those guys.
He was one of the chosen few. Welcome, Albany.
Hey.
But yes, as I was saying, this guy is basically one of the biggest teabaggers you'll ever meet. I can't stand him. I've tried settling our differences. The guy basically is as thick-headed as his God. With that being the case, let go and let time heal the wound.
Yeah.
Some relationships, being an atheist, you're going to lose. You can fight it until you're blue in the face. You're still going to lose those relationships. At the end of the day, letting that have any space in your cerebral cortex is just going to burden you in the long run.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
It does. No, it does.
By the way, I gotta say, Albany Rose,
What?
you look almost as good as your husband tonight.
You are one heck of a charmer.
He's incorrigible.
A little bit.
I mean, I actually said a few days ago that if Clarky Clark and Royce Sandis had a love child, it would probably be Albany Rose.
You compliment me more than anyone on the face of the earth, Mike.
I mean, if we could actually put Randy's beard on you, you might actually have the whole package.
Randy's beard's disturbing to me.
Randy's beard is disturbing, but I think that Albany might be able to pull it off, especially when she sounded like Daffy Duck.
I just burned my hair a little bit there.
Nice. So, Lou, what are your thoughts on extreme religiosity with family members and how it affects kids and yourself and your relationships? You there, Lou? I think Lou froze. Sorry, his
I
internet's
think
good.
Albany Rose.
Yeah.
Rose.
No,
Let's go.
I'm here. I'm
Albany,
just
are
trying.
you there?
I'm here. I'm just trying to fuck with my camera.
Albany, can you hear me?
Don't be an asshole.
That's all right, Albany. I actually have controls this time. Yeah. So Lou says his Wi-Fi sucks. Hey, I see you squinting, Lou.
Oh. Uh-oh.
There
Can
you
you?
go. I can hear you.
Oh, cool. I'm back. Oh, did you want Albany to go, or did you want me to?
Go ahead. I figure I'll just go down the list, and while you're working right now, I'll get your thoughts. So your views on family members and extreme religiosity and how it affects children and your own relationship between the three, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, I was trying to say, I don't have like extreme religious family members. I mean, there's some, but they're not a part of my life, right?
Gotcha.
But as far as my parents go, one set does church, and how I dealt with it is there's kind of more of that power struggle that a kid has to have with their parent, anyways. Especially then, my kid and their grandkid. So I kind of, when my kid was like 1 or something, my stepmom was trying to like take over and think that she had some kind of a right to be a parent more than me, and I just laid it down right there. I was like, I'm the father, you're the grandparents, you guys had your chance to raise me, I'm raising this kid, and that's how it's going to be. But as far as working with their religious stuff, I was like, I let her go to the church with them when they want to do that. It's family activity, time with her grandparents is what she sees it as. So I really didn't have a problem with the whole going to church thing with her anyways.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Albany, what are your thoughts on this?
So, what is the question exactly?
What are your thoughts on extremely religious family members and their interactions between you, your child, and themselves?
All right. I've only gotten a very small taste. Lou, just a little backstory about me. We have 3 under 3, so they can't really comprehend like religion, God, or anything right now. And I'm okay with that. But I think in the future it's going to be a problem. My in-laws and my husband's family knows I'm an atheist now, which is good, and they've actually been really cool about it, which is surprising. But I feel like it's going to be an issue down the road because they not only are they Catholic, but they're traditional Catholic, and I mean traditional. Nova Soto is they're terrible. They are bad. They have said fuck you to God, and honestly, I don't know. I've talked about this with my husband, and he and I have both agreed that we want them to just be open to all religions. I mean, I think you can't be against something unless you know about it, so I think the best thing to do is for them to know about it all. But with them, it's going to be they're going to continually shove, Jesus came from a virgin and all that fun stuff. But I have to believe that we are the parents, we will stay united, and no matter what outside perspective goes in on, into their minds, they're always going to come home, they're always going to be with us, and then we can speak with them. Exactly. I don't know, though. I mean, with how cool his parents took to me being an atheist and his family, I'm kind of just, I don't even know where the future's going to go with that.
Okay. Go ahead, Lou.
I saying, and how Clark actually handled that kind of different family members, the different roles. I think how he handles it as the secular parent is exactly how people should do it. Which I don't know if you were watching when he said it, that he just puts all of the religious stories right in with Jack Beanstalk and whatnot, and Transformers. It's a passive, non-confrontational way and kids absorb that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think what Clarkey actually did is how it should be done.
Well, it's difficult for me as well because I don't have, like Albany has, she's got a united front where you have two parents that are together and they're making joint decisions. With myself and my situation, it's I have the mother and her family that they're Baptist and they're united in that sense where you're going to go to church, you believe in God and all that jazz. Then you've got me as a secular atheist, and I like to think a pretty passive, calm, rational, laid-back version. And then you've got my side of the family that are a bunch of fruitcakes. And that's because they're traditional Catholics, just like Albany's in-laws. And like I agree, they are so traditional. Like my oldest sister, she's Novus Ordo. They say Mass in English. Like the difference between Orthodox Jews and modern Jews, or difference between Hasidic Jews and modern Jews. That level of intensity. My parents would be like the Hasidic Jews. So to the point where my parents have told my nephews, my sister's boys, that they're not actually Catholic, that they're Protestant. And that's a problem. They need to come back to the Catholic Church. And my sister has had a lot of problems with this. And where her and I have talked, saying, that we understand that our parents have different views than us, and even my sister and I have different views, but we still want to raise our kids the way that we feel is best. And it's almost gotten to the point where we don't think that our kids can be around their grandparents without supervision. Because apparently their grandparents cannot be trusted to keep their damn mouths shut and butt out of business that's not their own. And they've been told this multiple times, and I've told my parents, she's being raised Baptist, let it go. And it's difficult in that sense because I don't have that united front, and that would be nice. I think it would be very useful to have. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, oh, go ahead, Lou.
Well, you guys go ahead. I don't know if I'm still being heard right now.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I don't even have that kind of a family issue. So I mean, and just as a person, that's like putting you in a place you don't want to be dealing with that. So I can only imagine how difficult it is actually.
It's difficult in the sense that I don't want to alienate my parents, and I really don't want to alienate them. I've already lost one sister by saying that I couldn't have her in my life with the way that her viewpoints and her just very hateful speech and attitude was to the rest of my siblings. And she's a nun. Yeah. I don't want to cut my parents out of my life like I had to do that with one of my older sisters. Because I do want my daughter to have grandparents. And she's got grandparents over here, but I want her to have, she's got daddy's parents as well. I want her to have Mama and Papa Clark, that she can go over and she can have fun with them and she can see them and see her cousins. I want her to be involved in their life. I'm not sure how to go about this other than call my parents and giving them very, very clear rules that they have to follow and treat them like children, essentially. Because we've had these discussions before of, hey, I don't agree with what you believe. You obviously don't agree with what I believe. Keep your opinions to yourself. Apparently, I didn't say that in a aggressive enough tone, and maybe I need to say that. Because I don't want to just put my boot down and saying you're not seeing your granddaughter anymore. I don't want it to get to that point.
I feel like I'm gonna have to get to that point with my biological dad. My biological dad is very new age. He believes in the whole secret thing as good example. If you think about it or if you say it, it'll happen. It may not be this lifetime. It could be 10 lifetimes from now, but if you put it out there, it'll come back. And I think that one's going to be a hard one because my dad, it's not just what he preaches, it's what he lives. It's in every sentence he says. And I don't want my kids to go through what I went through and to think that if they think a bad thought or like get mad at someone that they're going to get hit by a bus because they got pissed off at someone.
Yeah. That's not. Is that what he believes?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw my whole interview with John, but when I was pregnant with Bay, our youngest, I was holding our son, the middle child, on my lap, and like he was jumping on my lap and he like hit my stomach and he was just going crazy. So I made the joke. I was like, RJ, you're gonna give mommy an aneurysm. And my dad just went from laughing and happy to very serious and like and he goes, you need to be careful. You need to be careful about the words you put out there. Because saying the word aneurysm is going to give you, fun example just because. If you call people an asshole while driving, or in general say the word asshole a lot, you're going to get rectal cancer. Not kidding. That was one of the first things I learned.
Oh my goodness.
That's
That's what I would tell a kid as a joke.
So I'm guessing he must be a very calm and easygoing person to talk to. Not blush.
Oh yeah, he's incredibly calm. But he will make you feel lower than dirt and dumb as shit.
Gotcha.
Because he talks like he's above you, and everyone that I know that knows more about my dad than he lets on, you feel that and you can see it.
Okay. So, welcome, Blush. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. Can you hear me?
I can. So we are discussing religiosity among family members and how that plays a part in our relationship with them, between them and the grandkids, between us and them, and us and the kids. Do you have any stories or views on this?
No, I'm gonna have almost nothing to contribute.
Do you have kids?
But I really do want to listen to this though.
All right.
No, but I have friends obviously who have kids. Actually, almost all my friends have kids.
It's kind of gone that way. I think I've reached that age where most of my friends are either pregnant, married, or have a couple of kids. And I was making that joke, and then I realized, shit, I've got a kid. I can't really make a joke. I'm part of that demographic. Damn it.
Oh gosh. Me and my daughter have this game we play occasionally. It's called Who Can Embarrass the Other Person the Most.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, and as she's becoming a teenager, it's getting a lot more cutthroat. So we'll be in the grocery store or just somewhere in public, and if she sees a pregnant woman, she's like, "Hey, Dad, there's a pregnant girl. Go hit on her."
Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Wow, your daughter's evil.
And when her friends are over, she just tells the friend, she's like, "Yeah, my dad hits on all the pregnant women."
Oh. That's terrible. See, that's what you got to do is right when she's like at the checkout counter, just like fake a heart attack. Like, all right, fine.
But,
Oh man.
I'm just like a freak, and she has to put up with me like that. So it all evens out. Like today, I found her sparkly makeup.
Oh yeah.
I put it all over my face, and then we went to the store, of course. So she had to put up with that. And it's jammy day.
It's what?
And it's jammy day. So
Nice.
yeah.
I'm just worried that with my family, and especially as my daughter gets older, it's going to get a lot more difficult to. I mean, I don't know how to say it. It's like, I guess I'm worried about their influence on her when she's older, and what kind of interaction they will have and how that will actually affect my relationship with my daughter and my relationship with my parents. I don't want it to get to the point where I have, a 12, 13-year-old girl saying, "Hey, Mama said this, and why did she say that about you?" I mean, I've already have my mom telling my daughter that I am angry at God. So she's, one, misrepresenting my actual viewpoints, and then she's telling my daughter that I am mad at something that she believes is a good person. That's not cool.
No, and that's just gonna fuck with her head. I mean,
Yeah.
especially when it starts so young, it's just. And not only that, I mean, you have the traditional Catholic perspective, then you have the Baptist perspective, and then eventually you'll have the secular perspective, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just do like real quick corrections on when the kid brings stuff up like that. You just be like, well, everybody has different beliefs and they don't understand what mine are.
Yeah, I had to say that my mom, I was like, Mama's mistaken. She doesn't know what she's talking about. That was the only thing that I could think of that came to my mind. I mean, I didn't want to say, it's okay, sweetheart, don't worry. Mama's senile and we're putting her in a home soon. That was my second option that I was thinking.
Or you could just go with, when people get old, their mind doesn't work the same.
Because I do want my daughter to have a good relationship with her grandparents. I remember my relationship with my grandparents. I didn't get to see them very often, and I absolutely love them, and I still miss them. I don't want them to be. I don't want my daughter to have the relationship that I had with my dad's parents, where my parents didn't really let us see them because they didn't like my dad's parents. Because yeah, they were abrasive, gruff, kind of rude, snarky people, and they were very secular. It wasn't that they were atheistic or not. They were Assembly of God. They just did not give a flying fuck. They were more concerned about their own lives than God. They were just very selfish people. But they did love us, and they did love having the grandkids up. But we had a bad relationship growing up because we were constantly told that our grandparents didn't love us. And I don't want to have that relationship between my daughter and her grandparents. I want it to be a good relationship. I don't want to have to say to my parents that, no, you're not allowed to see your granddaughter because you can't control yourselves around her. I mean, the way they act with my nephews, my sister has made it very plain, very clear, multiple times, do not tell your grandsons that we're Protestant. We are Catholic, just like you. Knock it off. And they still continue to do it. I mean, they obviously have no respect for boundaries in that sense. So I guess my question at that point is, what do I say to them? Like, what is something that I can say that will make them back off?
Do you think, I mean, I don't like going extreme, but obviously knowing more of your story and obviously being straightforward, even as your sister has been, that they need to stop that shit, do you think that telling them that if they continue they won't be able to see their grandkids anymore would do anything?
Maybe. They already use that as excuse of like, oh, we never get to see our grandkids. You don't want us to see them ever. They already use it as like, trying to guilt us. So I guess that would just be proof positive for them that we're persecuting them.
Right, but if I think they already feel persecuted because you're not going to be you guys aren't going to be raising them traditional Catholic. So, I don't know, I guess in my mind, if they're already going to be trying to guilt trip you with it, you kind of have to go more extreme and say, well, then here you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an outside perspective. Obviously, you know them better than I do, so.
Yeah. How about you, Lou? What do you think I should do with my parents?
Well, you've tried it the nice way already, so you should probably like have a sit down or whatever with one or the other, and just like you're telling us, but just you have to let them know that you have the control in the situation. You got to establish that you have 100% control when it comes to raising your kid, as far as when she's with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, I mean, you don't have to be an asshole about it, but you do got to let them know and go, look, I'm the parent. These are the rules we're going by, and if you don't like that, then like Albany said, you have to put that thread out there.
Yeah.
If if you might be discounting what the kids might be thinking and how they will reflect.
That is one thing that I worry about as well. The whole thing is troubling to me. I don't want to give my daughter a bad impression of her grandparents. I also don't want to give her a bad impression of myself as well.
Yeah, but we have to remember also that a lot of households that were religious, we came out of it more or less fine, so I think we should give more credit to. I mean,
No,
I don't know anything about your kids,
that's a
but
good point. You're right. You're absolutely right on that one. And I'm probably was not thinking about that. No. And I should give my daughter more credit. I think part of one of the reasons I don't is she's 5 years old right now, and I've seen her go from, because I only met her when she was 10 months old. So I've known her from 10 months now to 5. And again, she's not to the age of reason yet. She hasn't reached that ability yet. But I think eventually she will. Hopefully. At least I really, really hope that she's going to hit that pretty soon.
Yeah, it'll probably be any time now, actually, between now and I'd say no later than 7 before you can start expecting the more complex conversations to come up.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I figure we've been going on for about a little bit over an hour now, so I'm going to end the broadcast, but we can continue hanging out afterwards. If anyone wants to join, we'll still be here. So we had 4 viewers at one point. We're down to 1. So good on you, viewer. We're proud of you. Sticking with us. So if our one little viewer wants to join as soon as we end, you're more than welcome to. But I'd like to thank everyone for actually talking to me about this, because this has been something that's been on my mind lately, dealing with religious kids or secular, and how to deal with the family member as well. So again, I'd like to thank Blush, Albany, Lou, and Mike earlier for being on this panel and talking to me and giving their opinions. It's given me a lot to think about, and I will talk to you guys very soon.